Dr. John Barrett, thank you for being here with me today. Let's talk about the upcoming meeting between President Trump and President Putin in Alaska. What was your initial reaction to hearing that a meeting was taking place?
Well, these types of summits are very interesting because you never really know what's going to come of them. And so it's a bit kind of like the wild card, in a game. You could have a meeting and nothing happens. Everybody comes together, they take photographs, they shake hands, and they leave, and that's that. Sometimes you can have big breakthrough announcements that are made. Now, usually when that's the case, there's been a lot of groundwork leading up to it, and people are kind of expecting it. All the behind the scenes negotiation has gone on, and they're coming together to really kind of codify, and sign on the dotted line. But then sometimes you can get really unscripted, unplanned events, like when Reagan met with Mikhail Gorbachev, and all of a sudden there's this, moment where he's like, hey, why don't we dramatically cut back our nuclear weapons? Okay, sounds like a good idea. They start these conversations. So really anything can happen. And so we'll just have to see what transpires.
What are you personally expecting to see in Alaska later this week?
Honestly, it's very difficult to say because Trump, in some ways, is just a very unpredictable president. And so you can have a meeting that you think is going to be very routine, like when he met with Zelensky and you have a big blow up. You can have a meeting where you're expecting it to be contentious and it's not, so we really just will have to wait and see.
What do you think I know you say, President Trump you feel is unpredictable, but do you feel as though there's anything the administration is particularly aiming to achieve in this meeting, the Trump administration, that is?
Well, they've been pretty coy if they have clear specific goals from the meeting. Now there's a couple of different paths that people are talking about, they're wondering about. One is that Trump could offer Putin significant concessions. He could go to Putin and say, okay, we'll agree that Ukraine is not going to be part of NATO. We'll agree that you can keep, certain parts of Ukrainian territory. Let's move on then and discuss other things, right? So that's one kind of camp is kind of concerned about that. Another possibility is that they sit down and Trump says, okay, we need to have a ceasefire. I'm going to give you 30 days to have a ceasefire. And if that doesn't happen, here's the threat. Here's what I'm going to do if you won't agree to a ceasefire. And that could take it down a very different path. Or again, they could just shake hands and say this was, very productive. We had a great meeting and nothing really comes of it.
What do you think President Putin is looking to achieve through this meeting?
Well, I think the meeting itself, in many ways, satisfies one of his big goals because Putin is keen for Russia to be seen as a big player. And this kind of high-level meeting between Trump and Putin really kind of harkens back to the Cold War days, when it was a bipolar world and Russia was really, one of the big geopolitical players. And so just by having the meeting, I think that is a success for Putin and it makes him look good. And especially the fact that Zelensky's not there. It's kind of like, well, here are the big dogs are sorting out the world's problems and the riffraff aren't really invited to the meeting. It kind of gives that feel that, okay, Russia has this status that other nations don't. Now, beyond that, there's a lot of speculation about is there any incentive for Putin to end the war under any circumstances, and does he want it to end, even if it ends very favorably, or is his list of demands kind of just so high because any resolution of the conflict may be bad for him, so these are the kind of questions to speculate on. And really, it's difficult to say, for anyone but Putin to know what's his real game here.